welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelsey, and once again, the NetGalley gods are calling me back. So this is, I guess, a series on my channel for a bit where I read the NetGalley arcs that I have accumulating, piling up, forget about, that are in my TBR on NetGalley. And I always like to be a little bit on time. I try my best with these arcs, but sometimes, like in this video, they have already been released. So if you are interested in the books that I review in this vlog, you are available to purchase them. But let's go over the books I will be reading for this vlog. The first book I read in this vlog is Confessions of an Antichrist, and this is by Marta Skadi. It's a true story adjacent of a woman who manages a death metal band in Norway. Then we have Grey Dog by Elliot Gish, and this is a historical fiction horror that follows a woman who is trying to start a new life for herself in a town. Her past soon catches up with her, and we dive into her debilitating psyche. And then the last book I read was a highly anticipated read for me, and that was Ghost Station by S.A. Barnes. This follows a psychologist named Ophelia who is assigned to a crew making their way to a new planet in order to gather some substances, and obviously some weird things happen, very much a la S.A. Barnes. So we will go back to Kelsey 1 week ago today so that we can learn all my thoughts. Hello, so I'm deciding to start this vlog. This won't be the good introduction, hopefully, just so I don't mess things up, because I just finished wrapping up the vlog that will come before this one, which was the final series vlog where I finished the Dreamer trilogy, and I had such a great time. However, because I have been I wouldn't say it's a reading slump necessarily. It's definitely a video and editing slump. I have so many ideas for videos and vlogs and just not enough time to film them all. So I have quite a few ideas here, but I think I might switch around some of my ideas and move into arcs, because I completely forgot about the arcs I need to read this month. So now I'm behind on 3. They've already released. The goal for this vlog is to read the 3, but you'll know from the introduction if I read one more that I have in mind. But right now we're just going to talk about the one that I'm going to read right away. So that is Confessions of an Antichrist by Marta Skau. Editing note here, it's pronounced Skadi. I learned how to pronounce it correctly. Just in the beginning there was Norwegian writing. When I had first read the word, I thought it was an O there, but it's actually a D sound. So it's Marta Skadi. And I picked this up because it's involving death metal and horror, which sounds perfect for me. So a delightfully twisted crime novel with an unreliable narrator, Confessions of an Antichrist tells the tale of the rise and fall of a Norwegian band of wannabe Satanists embarking on a mission to burn the world down with black metal. That sounds fantastic to me. And if you don't know this about me, I'm very much a rocker girl, not to be lame, but I really like this type of music, and I just love the explorations of religion. I've said this a million times, these symbolisms of Catholicism and Satan and stuff like that are very interesting to me. I love when books are able to explore them in a really interesting way, so I'm really hoping from this book that it will. It doesn't have the most ratings, so it's a little under the radar, but I requested it on NetGalley anyways because it sounded really good and the cover was really cool. So I'm going to get this started now. I have the audiobook from Audible, from Amazon, sorry, and I'm going to just get started and see where it goes. Hello, so I am now about 30% of the way through the audiobook, and I find it really interesting so far. So the main perspective is this girl named Marta, and she's the one that's telling the overall story of this black metal band that she sort of manages. It is made of 4 guys, and they're her lovers slash best friends. They're all whatever, doing things with one another as rock bands tend to do. And she's telling the story of the beginnings of their career as they're about to sign for a record label, or they're having shows to prove to this record label that they can have a CD, whatever, that sort of thing. And it's taking place during the 2010 black metal surgence in Norway. So I find this to be really interesting because it's obviously a setting that I've never read from before, and it's also translated fiction, which I'm really enjoying. I love to just increase the amount of translated works that I read, and this one is particularly interesting to me because it's metal and a bit dark. I don't know if I would say it's horror-y, at least not right now. I don't know if there will be any actual aspect of Satan coming to the forefront, or if it's more just them behaving in satanic ways because of what they believe in, and less about a more speculative element of the story. But that's it so far. So we're kind of just following the story as Marta's describing how she met the boys and how they're like getting into this band and stuff like that and what they are to one another. The writing to me reads very YA. I don't know if this is a YA book. They do mention like murder and sex and stuff. So like I feel like it's probably adult, just that Marta's voice feels very young, which I think kind of makes sense for like the age range it is. Like I'm sort of seeing her as this like, maybe not high schooler, but like young 20s. Anyways, I'm gonna continue listening to this because it really has captivated my attention. And I can't say like I'm not enjoying it. I'm having a good time. Hello, so I haven't updated in a while, mostly because I really didn't feel like I had anything to update for Confessions of an Antichrist. And I think that sort of emphasizes the way I felt about this book. I think I enjoyed it overall. Like if I look back at this book overall, I think I enjoyed pieces of it. But I'm conflicted because on the one hand, the novel delivers on what it sets out to be. It's an over-encompassing tale of one teenage band's rise in the Norwegian death metal scene. And I was really interested in it based on this premise. But I really feel overall disappointed by the latter half of the novel and the final conclusion of the book. It might be my own expectations that I had, but I thought this was going to be way more horrific, and I think it's because on Goodreads, the genre that it's classified for is horror. But I wouldn't really say that. I'm starting to see like in other websites and other review sites that I'm looking at, it's more of like a crime fiction book. I would pin it more as like a mystery, and I definitely think it falls more into those categories than the horror. I think this is good if you're looking for a more like realistic take on this type of story. The book started off with a really strong first chapter, and like I said, I was initially intrigued by this. However, despite some things that really shocked me, like in the last clip you saw that I was like completely shocked by some sort of twist that happened, I really don't feel like the plot was strong enough to hold my attention overall. The book is also darkly funny, and that's thanks to our narrator, so that is an aspect that I enjoyed in the book. However, the narrator is also really unreliable and downright obnoxious, so while I understand the point of it for the purpose of the book, I was kind of able to tell how this book was going to end. And even with that, I found the ending to be really messy and really confusing, so I ended up giving this a 3 stars because there were elements that I liked, elements that I didn't. We're now going to move into the next book, and that is Grey Dog by Elliot Gish. We just got audiobooks for Spotify Premium here in Canada. I got the notification the other day, and this is available there under the 15 hours, so I'm going to be testing out Spotify for the first time, which I'm very excited for, just to have like a third audiobook app that I do use Spotify, so that's really nice to have. So Grey Dog seems to be a historical fiction horror-y type of book, a subversive literary novel that disrupts the tropes of women's historical fiction with delusions, wild beasts, and uncontainable power of female rage. So that prompt really sounds very intriguing to me. I love female rage, and I do tend to like historical horror. This sounds really spooky, so I'm definitely going to start it now with Spotify Premium, and I'll let you know how it goes in both sense, if the book is good and if I'm enjoying my Spotify Premium option. Hello, so I just got finished reading Nestlings, which is my Kelsey's book club book of the month. I need to have this read before Thursday, which is why I've put off this vlog in order to focus really on this one and finish it. As you can see, tabbed it to fill. So the live show for this will be before this video goes up, so I'll leave a link up above to that live show in case you're interested. But we're here to talk about Grey Dog. I haven't read that much. I don't know exactly where I am. I would say like maybe 30% into the book. And it's a very slow start, but we are just following our main character as she joins this like smaller community to work as a teacher. And she got this job thanks to her father, who we don't know exactly why yet, but it's being sort of implied that he needed her to get out of the town, and she's not expressing how. This book is taking place, I forgot to mention, the early 1900s. I have a feeling it is due to her potentially being in a relationship with a woman. There's a lot of implications that are being like thread throughout the book of our main character being more interested in women. Something she did in the town to send her away is deemed like really bad. She's also sent to go live with the reverend of the town. So I just feel like there's some like religious homophobia implications that are going on here. In regards to the like spookiness, there's nothing really very spooky yet. Like I said, it's been a very slow start. However, our main character has a very pristine knowledge and interest in the natural sciences, so flora, fauna of the forest. She wants that to be her focus for teaching these children. So I have a feeling that there's going to be some sort of grotesque imaginings with the natural sciences. That's my guess based on the synopsis and like where the novel's going. So right now I'm going to do my Duolingo so I don't miss a day, and then I'm going to get back into it. I'm just going to read until I want to go to bed tonight, and I'll probably update you tomorrow, but we'll see because I need to edit an entire vlog tomorrow. But bye. Hello, I am currently at work, which is why I'm whispering or talking low because I'm in a meeting room. But I did want to just give a quick update just because I haven't updated in a while about Grey Dog, and that's mostly because I'm finding it okay. I don't really feel like there's much going on in regards to the plot that merits an update. I don't even know where I am in the audiobook. I'm not following along on my Kindle or on my iPad. I'm just really, not that I'm not vibing, because I still think it's really interesting, like the vibes are there, but there's nothing like in the plot that's keeping me engaged because I don't feel like there's anything that I have to really follow along with. There was one harrowing scene about sexual assault involved with our main character, and we figure out that that's why they were sort of shunned from their community. And then there was another aspect of her kind of breaking the bounds in the town because she's teaching the kids about natural sciences, and the mothers, the more religious zealots, are upset with it. But other than that, like, nothing's really happening, so I don't really have much to say. I'm gonna go back to my PC. I'm going to continue listening to this on audio because I have a lot of like manual tasks to do today, so nothing really crazy. But that's it. It's taken me so long to read because I just feel like nothing's happening. Hello. So I read quite a bit yesterday when I was at work, and it is getting spookier, but it's getting spooky in the way that like our main character's a little unhinged right now. Throughout the entire course of the book, she's been hearing these voices from the forest and seeing things from the forest. And right now we're at the point in the book where a lot of people are telling her that she's crazy, that what she's seeing isn't real or what she's hearing isn't real. And one of the teachers in this town previous to her, so the girl whose job she is basically replacing, also heard voices in the forest. And she's been trying to find this girl, but every time she attempts to do so, like the progression gets stopped. So for example, she sent a letter to the woman's mother because the woman had said she left to go take care of her mother, and the mother was like, she's never been here. And so now we're playing with this like mythical creature in the forest. Not the first time this has happened to a teacher. Our main girl Ada being obsessed with like natural sciences, so the forest, animals, plants, that sort of thing. I just wish this happened a lot earlier. I have about like 10 chapters left in the book. I just really wish this was an earlier development in the book because now I'm fascinated by what's happening and I'm interested, but I feel like so much of perhaps the subtleties of the book have been missed because it was so slow at developing. And I guess that's on me for not really like paying attention or following along, but I didn't feel like the book was giving me any reason to, and now we're getting in this like captivating and thrilling last half of the book, and I just wish that I was engaged the entire time. Hello, so I finally finished Grey Dog by Elliot Gish, and I think you could just tell by the length of time it took me to read this, my updates, and how I was very lost with what I was reading. I didn't particularly enjoy this one. So let's get into my overall review. So this is just another conflicting arc for me in this vlog. While I really enjoyed the premise, the themes, and the ending of the novel, which I'll get into, it took a really long time to get there. So long, in fact, that the book, as you saw in this vlog, really lost my interest, especially at the like latter first third of the novel, and that kept up until the last third of the novel. For a debut author, I was really impressed by the writing overall in this book. It was incredibly lyrical, it was atmospheric, it was creepy, and as mentioned, I really loved the themes of female rage and treatment throughout the course of the book, but especially in the last third, which given the historical context of the book, fit in really well. And then also pairing that with the more horrific aspects of this like small town close to the forest living, I just felt like everything was really well encompassed and really well finalized throughout the end of the book. We definitely get to the more creepier aspects. We see what the Grey Dog is, what our main character Ada is interacting with, what she's been sort of grappling with the entire book. So I thought that it concluded really, really well. But it was not enough to keep me fully engaged, as I said, and I was drifting off so much that I ended up having to like re-listen to several chapters because I just felt like I was not picking up on a lot of the subtleties, and every time I would like enter the book again through the audiobook, I just couldn't remember where it was at in the book. And I feel like this might be the fault of Spotify as well. I just think the way that they organized the book, I was constantly distracted about what track I was on, where I was on, how many seconds I had left. I just feel like it's not really well done. It doesn't tell you how much you've read, how much you have left. So I think the overall experience I had with the audiobook didn't help with this novel either. And I always ended up feeling like I was missing something, that I wasn't getting the full picture of my reading experience and thus the overall plot of the novel. However, like I mentioned several times, the last 1/3 of the book was really, really captivating and creepy. I wish that Gish had introduced this earlier on in the novel so that I could have felt more engaged when our character's eventual like mental decline happened. So I give this 3 stars. I definitely think it put me in a reading slump, and I'm so happy that I saved the next arc for last because I'm highly anticipating this book. It is Ghost Station by S.A. Barnes. So this is written by the same author that wrote Dead Silence, one of my like favorite books of either 2022 or 2023. I can't really remember, but it was so creepy to me and it was such a wonderful experience reading that. It really, I think, started my like love for sci-fi horror last year. Needless to say, I'm very much anticipating this book. So psychologist Ophelia Bray has dedicated her life to the study and prevention of ERS, a space-based condition most famous for a case that resulted in the brutal murders of 29 people. When she's assigned to a small exploration crew, she's eager to make a difference. But as they begin to establish residency on an abandoned planet, it becomes clear that the crew is hiding something. While Ophelia focuses on her new role, her crewmates are far more interested in investigating the eerie ancient planet and unraveling the mystery behind the previous colonizers' hasty departure than opening up to her. I'm excited. I trust S.A. Barnes with writing a really interesting like space horror, so I'm very, 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 very excited to read this, and I'm going to start it right now. I'm going to listen to the audiobook from Audible, so hopefully it'll be a much better visual experience for me. Hello, so I didn't update you last night, but I did get a couple of hours into Ghost Station. I think I got about 2 hours into the audiobook, and so far it's starting out pretty like typical sci-fi horror, I would find. Like, we have our main character. Our main character is a psychologist, and she has been assigned to this ship. And what we learn within the first couple of chapters is that our main character, Ophelia, is put on to this project as sort of like a second chance. So something happened in her past, and I don't recall being told about it, but we learned that her parents are very manipulative. They have a lot of control over like what's going on, and she's not close with them. So did they have something to do with her past failures? Maybe. But she is studying a specific type of like space sickness called ERS, and so she's been assigned to this crew because they lost one of their members who like kind of just went into space and died, and it's implied that it was, you know, like a little self-inflicted. And so she is now on this crew. And so before she goes on this mission, one of her friends didn't want her to really go because he believes that they're sort of lying to her or they're setting her up for failure, and she doesn't want to believe him because she believes her family is some sort of like implicated in this, and they're telling her not to go because they want to see her, like, basically they want her to not fail before she fails, kind of thing. Now we're on the spaceship. All of the crew is very apprehensive to speak to her, and they don't trust her, right? And one of her main goals as the ship's therapist is to have trust by the other crew members, right? So that's where I'm at right now. They don't seem to trust her. They have been pulling pranks on her. So I'm very keen to see how this all plays together, because obviously we have to always remember that there is this ERS looming in the background. And do all the crew members have it? Was it just that one crew member? We're gonna see. Hello, so I just wanted to give a quick update because I haven't spoken to you in a while. I've been very busy with work. I recently got news, freaking out a bit. It is snowing in the background and it is the end of April. I am fed up of living in Canada. So I am now 34% of the way through. So I'm about 100 or so pages in. And we just got to a really spooky scene that is very reminiscent of S.A. Barnes's first book, Dead Silence. So basically they lose one of their crew members on this mysterious planet that has a lot of like spooky adjacent things that have happened, but this is the first time that it's really spooky. And I haven't updated you in a while because I haven't listened in a while because I've been home alone at night, and I don't want to do this. Last time I did this with an S.A. Barnes book, I spooked myself out. In this specific scene that I ended off on, they are looking for one of the characters named Birch, and Birch has been the most apprehensive to Ophelia's involvement in the crew and also her placement in the crew and this specific help that she's trying to give to them. He goes missing. They can't find him. They're looking all around the spaceship. They don't want to really accept that perhaps he has left the space station, right? So they're looking everywhere. They're doing a second, more thorough search of the station. As Ophelia is looking for him, she looks outside the window and sees him just standing outside on this planet that they don't know anything about, right? And so she runs to go find the other crew members to tell them that, oh my God, he's outside. We need to go get him. We need to go save him. And they find Birch like dazed, sitting in a corner, surrounded by his crew members because they found him. And Ophelia is sort of like, what the fuck? I just saw him outside. I don't know if we're dealing with like a doppelganger situation. Is Ophelia experiencing ERS, which is the thing that she's gone with this crew to study because they lost a member already due to this? Are they all experiencing this? I'm very excited. We're getting into what I loved about Dead Silence and what I loved about S.A. Barnes's work. So the spookiness is coming and I'm ready for it. Hello, so I just got to the about 60% mark in Ghost Station and we're definitely having some creep factors. So a lot of the novel is surrounding being trapped in space and developing this like mental fear, paranoia sort of disorder called ERS. So I'm really liking this aspect of the book because the planet that they've decided to like discover that was abandoned has this like snowy atmosphere. So you're definitely getting like chalet, like cabin in the woods type of vibes because outside is snowing. They can't go out. They can't discover anything for themselves. They presume that this planet is abandoned, right? And as I had mentioned, they were abandoned a long time ago and they still see like bodies and people outside, right? That is one aspect that I'm really enjoying, I think is really fascinating. And then paired with, right, this disorder that is causing them to supposedly see things. So what we're experiencing now is that they feel as though they have itching, they hear voices, and primarily because our point of view is from the Dr. Ophelia and she's experiencing these things, she becomes this sort of like unreliable narrator because it's like, is she experiencing ERS or are they all experiencing ERS or are none of them experiencing ERS except Ophelia? That's what's really interesting because it's an unreliable narrator done in a very interesting way. Usually in thrillers, right, it's coughed up to like addictions or like just some sort of disorder that we ourselves can place ourselves in, we understand. And this is, it seems like cabin fever, which makes it a lot more interesting because it's like, are the spooky things on this abandoned planet there? Like, are they being watched? Is the planet really abandoned? Or are they experiencing this sort of cabin fever? All of them, just Ophelia, some of them and not others. So it makes this like dynamic between the crewmates really hostile. So I'm very much enjoying this aspect of the book. I think I will update you when I'm done because I have about 40% left. I might update you if something like really crazy happens that's like not too spoilery, but if not, I will see you at the end. Welcome to the end of the vlog. Let's go over my final thoughts for Ghost Station by S.A. Barnes. So I think like gathering on my feels of the book over the course of these last few clips, I think you can guess that I didn't really enjoy this one as much as I loved Dead Silence by this author, but I do think that this is purely because I was anticipating the novel way too much. And like if I separate it from my expectations, this was quite a solid read. You can definitely tell that Barnes's writing has improved. Her characters have way more depth, and the story, while still focusing on one specific character, Ophelia, took the time to develop the side characters that make up the crew that travels along with her to the planet. Speaking of, I really enjoyed the planet this book was set on. The snowstorm that ravages our main characters made it feel as though these characters were developing cabin fever, which is one of my favorite tropes for like horror and thriller books. I love when characters begin to imagine things, begin to imagine seeing and hearing things. And the twist that Barnes took with this familiar trope was so fun and spooky. Without going too much into like spoilers for the end of the novel, the issue I had with this one more falls onto our main character, Ophelia, and the decisions that she would make while on this spaceship that just felt really immature to me. I did not feel that a psychologist assigned to a space crew who has dealt already with the death of another one of their team members would behave the way that she did, and it really pulled me out of the story. It was still really spooky and it was still really a fun read. And I think if it's your first S.A. Barnes, you're going to really love it. But for me, I just prefer Dead Silence a little bit more. And that's it. Those are all of the books I had to check off for my Art Galley TBR this week. So let's just summarize the ratings that I gave the books. They were all pretty much the same rating. I gave Confessions of an Antichrist 3 stars. I gave Grey Dog by Elliot Gish 3 stars. And then I gave Ghost Station by S.A. Barnes 3.5 stars. Because it is the end of the vlog, please let me know down below if you've read any of these books by now. Did you like them? Did you hate them? Let me know. And of course, if you would like to follow me on any of my other social medias, I do leave a link down below to my Twitter, Goodreads, and Instagram if you would like to follow me there. If you enjoyed watching this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. I tell you every time, but it does wonders for my channel. It makes me feel really good. But that's it. I never know how to end these things, so I will see you next time. Okay, bye!